and welcome back to day 14 of the trading series. Today we're going to review a trade from April 18th, 2024 that I had placed. This one was a little more of a clean-cut trade, so this should be a pretty quick analysis. You will see here, this was on NASDAQ 100. I am entering on the 1 minute. If you have not noticed by now and you've been watching the series, that there is a bit of a trend that I do where I do a lot of like 15-minute and 1 hour analysis, but I will drop to a lower time frame, specifically when I'm doing things like strategy wars, just to ensure that I can find an entry that day. But again, I want to make it clear like that my typical everyday trading doesn't always involve a 1 minute time frame. I actually find one time frame to be like kind of chaotic for me. I really love like more like a 15-minute time frame, but with strategy wars, I do like to have my trades closed out. I know that you can trade and submit swing trades, but for me personally, I just don't like to have to like come back in and manage them and stuff like that. So in normal life, I absolutely love it. But like for strategy wars, I kind of like to just know I have my point and that my trade's secured and points are in for the day, stuff like that. So I do usually drop to the 1 minute time frame. I'm not saying that you guys should do that. You can do what I'm doing on any time frame. I'm just trying to highlight that I am always using a higher time frame for my actual analysis, and that the entry is just happening on a lower time frame, like a 1 minute, just to get in a little bit sooner. So that is what I'm doing here as well. I had used the 15-minute and the 1 hour time frame for my bias, which if you've been watching all along, you will know that the higher time frames bias for NASDAQ and US 30, which are the assets that I've been trading during this strategy wars, were pretty much bearish up until this point. So I already knew that my higher time frame bias was bearish, so I was looking for potential sells. So I dropped to the 1 minute time frame. I did have a zone that was marked. The zone that you're seeing here, this shaded box, was based off of an area that was marked off of a 1 hour chart. So it's a stronger zone, and I was looking for it to break. So what you'll see is that I did have a bearish smiley face that printed here, but this candle did not close and break below my zone, so I didn't have an entry yet. I was waiting for an entry come, and I did not get in right away here. I was kind of waiting to see if a retest would come. It didn't come. The best I had gotten was kind of like in this area, and I just didn't want to risk that like not being able to get a trade. It was getting a little later in the day too, for me personally, and being able to submit a trade or find a trade, let alone submit a trade. So I was like, you know what? We got a little bit of a better price than waiting down here. I kind of got the price back to where like the initial entry should have been, a little bit lower, but I was okay with that. And I had hoped that maybe it would pull back a little more into this zone, but it never did. So instead of missing out on the trade altogether, I did get in on this like very small pullback. And then maybe, I don't know, I don't know if I would even call it that, but I did get in there. And that was based off of my bearish smiley face here, which was still bearish. As long as no other smiley faces print in the opposite direction, you can still use the most recent one. And I did have that stronger, higher time frame bias that was also bearish. So I did get in there. I did have to put my stop loss just above the zone, unfortunately, because for me, at least in my trading and the way that my plan works, it did not actually truly retest within this zone. So I couldn't justify keeping it like tighter. For some people, maybe you can, but for me personally, it wasn't worth the risk. I just know how my trading goes, and this is like, that would have been breaking my rules. So I did have to still keep it above because it wasn't a true retest of the zone. Had now the market come back up into the zone and retested, then I could have like left my stop loss wherever that retest was, but I didn't see that happen. So I wanted to stay safe and put my stop loss where I would have according to my rules, and I did that. So I left it slightly above my zone that initially broke from. I did target my take profit. It was an area that was to the left. Unfortunately, you can't see it in this screenshot, but there was a zone to the left that was using a 15-minute and a 1 hour time frame as well. Again, like I said, this is just using analysis based off the 15-minute, like their zones, their levels and stuff like that. I wasn't using 1 minute levels. I was using 15 minutes, but I'm just looking for the 1 minute time frame to get in on a little bit of a better entry if I can. And in this case, I actually did not get a better entry, but regardless, I did still get in. I was able to kind of like watch this situation to still kind of get in a little bit better than maybe getting in way down here. But either way, this was the trade setup. I was able to target a 2R based off of that zone that was to the left, which was good, and it's a great reward, especially with a trade that's kind of a little later in the day. Sometimes you can tend to lose a little bit of momentum with US 30 and NASDAQ as the London session is closing and then just New York is running in the afternoon. I do notice sometimes like the market can die off a little bit. So I didn't want to go too crazy, even though I was trading with the trend in this case, and I maybe could have targeted more. I really didn't want to go too heavy with my reward and then not reach it by the end of the day. So I was happy with my 2R. As you can see here, I was trading on a 50K account, so I did make a profit here, as you guys can see, of $1,001.65 for that day, which was a 2R off of my 50K account. So that is that trade. It's just a pretty clean, like, breakout trade. Put the stop loss slightly above the breakout zone and then target a level to the left, making sure the risk to reward makes sense, which in this case, a 2R made sense. And that is it. Yeah, I was just kind of using a pretty basic breakout technique here. I was hoping for a little bit of a retest and get a better price. It didn't happen, and that is the risk you take sometimes with breakout trading. So, that is what it is, and that's okay. I was still able to get into my trade. Anyway, that is it for this trade. And if you guys have questions or comments, please leave them below, and I will see you in the next video.